So, it was the early 2000s, and a young girl walked into a club with a friend for a simple meal. She was innocent, unaware of what awaited her. The smell of food filled the air, but something else caught her attention. The bright, colourful lights of a poker machine. The rhythmic sounds, the flashing screens, it was all very mesmerising. And that night, she had a go at playing, and she won. Not much, just a little, but that's a win that she would never forget. Soon, this became a normal weekly routine. A meal, a laugh, and a hypnotic glow of the pokies in the background. Little did she know, this innocent introduction would come to haunt her. 15 years later, that girl had grown into a woman, a young mother. Life had thrown her into some storms she'd never imagined. She'd lost her daughter, her grandmother, and her job, all in the same time. She was drowning in grief and fear of being judged, fear of losing her children, and fear of losing her marriage. And in the darkness, gambling became her escape. Gambling became her best friend. It started off fun, just a few coins, just a way to forget. But soon it consumed her. Every payday ended the same. Her entire pay vanished, swallowed up by poker machines until the bank account was completely empty. You see, the first win lit up her brain like fireworks. But now, the lights of the pokies were like chains. She felt trapped, ashamed, and hopeless. Thoughts of ending her life crept in. My name is Kelly, and I am that young woman in that story. I didn't plan to become a compulsive gambler. Nobody does. My addiction was slow, silent, and devastating. For years I lived in secrecy. Emotionally and spiritually, I was broken. Gambling addiction is a bit different to other substances. If you can picture this, there's 3 women sitting in a room. The first woman leans back in her chair, eyes heavy, and the smell of alcohol reaches you before her words do. Her hands shake slightly as she tries to steady herself, and her story seems to ooze out of her eyes without even having to speak. Beside her sits another woman. Her eyes are unfocused. She looks like she's drifting somewhere outside of the walls of the room. The smell of drugs linger faintly around her, and you can almost see the exhaustion of escape written across her face. And then there's the third woman, perfectly groomed, hair styled, nails clean, clothes neat and tidy. She walks in the room with confidence, smelling like success. And if you walked into the same room without context, you would assume that this woman might be the counsellor. She might be the caseworker, or just another person using the service. If you walked into this room and seen this, you would not know. But she's the only one in the room that has lost $1 million. And not to investments gone wrong, not to a failed business, but to gambling. She is the one whose life is quietly disintegrating to gambling. And no one would know. So, fortunately, I haven't lost $1 million, but the point here is that addiction does not discriminate by how it presents itself. Sometimes it smells like alcohol, sometimes it smells like drugs, and sometimes it smells like expensive perfume. Anyway, so one day I walked into Marrin, Weejali, not for help, but because I got told I could come down here and get an electricity voucher, because I'd done my ass on the pokies. I needed to pay my bills. They came in, they told me that I had to see a counsellor. I didn't want to do that. I wanted to run away really fast. But that conversation changed my life. I didn't know they had a specialist gambling counsellor here. And I remember sitting in the chair in that room telling my story, and I just cried and cried and cried. And you know, counselling didn't cure me overnight, but it gave me something I didn't know I needed. And that was a safe place where my truth didn't need to be disguised, and I could take away my mask and I could be myself. And session by session, and truth by truth, I began to learn that healing doesn't start with strength. It starts with honesty. I admitted I had a problem. I engaged in counselling. I joined groups, signed up for self-exclusions, blocked gambling apps, and worked the 12 steps with a sponsor. Recovery was not quick. It was slow, it was painful, and full of learning. But I found connection. And they say the opposite of addiction is connection. And having a healthy connection here is what helped me to heal. So, just before we go, today I am free. I've rebuilt my life, my relationships, my finances. I've travelled overseas. I've obtained my motorbike license. And I've landed my dream job here at Marrin. And you know, for years gambling robbed me of everything I had. And now I give back. I support others living with this silent addiction. And there's just a few facts that I want to share with you. There are many forms of gambling, and one of them that robs us the most are the pokies. Well, in June 2024, New South Wales overall had roughly over 87,000 poker machines. Blacktown is amongst the local LGA with the largest total losses. Poker machine profits reached $8.4 billion just in 2023 and 2024. In a single quarter of 2025 alone, Blacktown residents lost about $110.5 million on the pokies. So to finish off, let me leave you with this thought. Behind every flashing light and cheerful jingle of a poker machine, there's a life that could be falling apart. So when you think about addiction, remember that alcohol leaves a smell, drugs leave a trace, but gambling hides behind a smile, a fresh cut, and expensive perfume. It's the silent killer that doesn't show on your face or your breath.